Hey folks, Rakowski here. Got a lawnmower for us today. I was approached about looking at it, and it was related to one of our new units, so I thought I would record it and bring it along with for the process here. Owner states that they were having trouble with the electric start, not rotating the engine to get it started. Emailed me before bringing it over and said that they tried it one last time, and before it had you would turn the key and the motor would just whir and the flywheel would turn, but then they tried it one last time, the flywheel turned, but the engine still didn't start. Upon dropping it off, found out that the starter motor hadn't actually worked for a couple of years, and they had been getting by with the recoil, but even that's not working anymore. I haven't really done anything to it other than kind of just give it a walk around and bring it here. So I figured I'd start with my process and how I'm going to go about looking at this engine here. So it looks like we might have two things. One, an electric starter that may or may not be functioning, and two, an engine that may or may not be starting. So let's start by confirming the customer complaint. Let's go ahead and take a look at a few things and let's try to start it. Okay. First things first, I want to make sure our levers are in the right spot. Put the choke on. I want to do some simple checks, like check to make sure that there's gas in the tank, which there is. Smells reasonably fresh. While looking at that, it's easy to see that the customer may have tried to take a look at things himself. It looks like this recoil and the nuts that hold it down are a little bit loose. Gas valve is in the on position. So let's see what happens when we try to crank it over. And what you know, the starter engages. Let's try it again. Oh, there we go. Let's try it again. Okay. So this would be the first complaint the customer had is that they turned the key, the motor whirs, but it doesn't actually engage the flywheel on the engine. Okay. They also did say that they put new batteries in it. Well, the pull cord works. It spins the engine over. Choke is on. Let's take the choke off. Doesn't look like we got any light coming out of this engine, even with the pull cord. Pull cord feels slightly short to me. Alright, so where do we go from here? Being that it's a seasonal piece of equipment, my first guess is going to be fuel system related, like a lot of no-start complaints in the spring for lawn equipment goes. Maybe it's got some old gas in a carburetor that's gummed and varnished and blocked off. Who knows? Maybe it wasn't stored right and there's mice that chewed some of the wiring up underneath the shroud. But let's get into it and we'll go from there. I think the first test I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and spray some starting fluid into the carburetor and see if it'll run off the starting fluid. If it runs off the starting fluid, then I'm going to go to the carburetor and pull the bowl and check it for dirt, debris, gum, varnish, stuff like that. And I'll probably dump the fuel and put known good fresh stuff in there if I need to based on what I see in the carburetor. If it doesn't run off the starting fluid, I'll probably go with a spark test next because that's the next easiest thing to do. Alright, so let's turn this around so you guys can see maybe the carburetor side of things a little bit here. And I'm going to go ahead and pop off the air filter. And sure enough, we got a nice new air filter in here. So somebody's been here before us. So let's pull this off and we'll set this up and out of the way. I already have some starting fluid nearby because I was kind of thinking we were going to go this way if it did start. And so I'm just going to spray it right into the opening here. I'm just spray a little bit in there. Just want to make sure the choke is off so I can get it in there. I'm going to spray right. One second. I don't know if you can see this on camera. Do you see my light shining through the air filter cover? That's not right. Doesn't look like this can be installed upside down. But I'm looking in the hole here. I see what looks like the top of the choke shaft. Okay, I don't actually see a choke plate. Let's go ahead and pull that cover and see what we see here. Use this guy here. Got a 10 mil. Those look like 10 mils. It's a Honda, so they're probably 10 mil. I got this out to deal with these because I noticed that these were loose. So let's see if we can get this out. That came out pretty easy. Okay. Let me see if I can bring you in for a closer look here. Take a look. These studs were installed right over the top of the carburetor here. Wonder if they had this off. They did say that they had tried looking for the worm gear and the pinion for the starter, but they couldn't really find it in the spots according to the schematic they found on the internet. I don't know if this is the problem of why it won't start, but it's definitely a problem. So let's go ahead and I'm going to go get some stuff to get this cleaned up a little bit. And we'll put this back together, make sure that the carburetor is in place properly, and we'll give it another go, and then we'll come back and we'll take a look at that electric starter motor. I'll be right back with some cleaning supplies. All right, back with some cleaning supplies. I got some brake clean and some rags here. So we'll put this underneath here to kind of catch what we can. I'm not going to be overly concerned about the outside or the top of the carburetor for right now. I just want to make sure my gasket sealing surfaces are going to be clean and dry, and I don't push any dirt into the engine by putting this back together here. Alright, so it looks like we need to install this without dropping it like before. Make sure this goes on the right way so that this hole here goes in the right spot. Hook up that breather tube as well. Get a nut driver to get those started by hand. You guys probably can't see a whole lot. Let me just check and make sure I got it all captured. Sorry, you can look at the back of my head for a minute. Hose on. All right. This out of the way. Snug these up by hand. I'm going to put you guys back. I'll probably cut this out. And let's see if it starts now. start and run. So therefore we must have compression, we must have spark. We may still need to open up that carburetor and check the carburetor for cleanliness. But we know that it's at least going to start and run. And a large part of the problem of it not started and running has to do with an improperly installed carburetor. Let's go ahead and get that starter off. Let's take a look at that starter. Notice that there's a fair amount of grass, and you guys can't see nothing. Alright, if you take a look, you can see there's a fair amount of grass clippings in the inlet screen. But now we need to lift the shroud off in order to get the starter off. Okay. I believe the bolts on these ones go straight down from the top, so I got to pull the shroud. The gas tank is part of the shroud, and it's fairly full. So before I take this off, I want to prevent the gas from leaking out of the cap. So I got this little trick where I take a plastic bag, put it over the hole, and put the cap back on. The idea is the plastic bag will seal up the threads and it'll block the vent. There we go. It'll block the vent so the fuel doesn't leak out of the vent in the cap. I know some of the newer engines, I believe, are even having carbon filters in the cap. So I'm just going to kind of let this sit, prop it up so it's not pulling too hard on the hose. And then I shouldn't have to worry about it leaking, even though it's upside down. And so we can see here, we got 2 bolts holding it on. For our starter motor, we got some electrical connections on the bottom, and then we have a couple of ground connections right here on the side. Now, I talked about this before, you may or may not remember, but since we are working on a Honda, these have that little dot near the drive hole, which indicates that it's a JIS. Let me see if I can bring you in for a closer look. If you take a look at the screw, right there, oops, right there, sorry, right next to the tip of my finger, if I can get you in the right spot, there you go, is a little dot, okay, that indicates it's a JIS screw. So we're going to want to use a JIS screwdriver for our best chance of getting those loose without stripping them out. Set those off to the side over here. Let's about to pull these off the hand. Oh, I'll show a little wire. And then let's see if these are the size I think they are. 10s. Go ahead and pull these off. Just enough room to snake that out of there. Oh, looks like we got ourselves a little wire clip here. Let me go get a tool to get those out properly. Alright, back with a clip tool here. Let's see if we can get this out. Alright, so here's our starter motor. I'm going to pause you guys again, collect some tools. We're going to take this over to the bench and see if we can look at the drive clutch here and see if we really need a whole new starter motor or if we just got to maybe clean this up a little bit. Alright, brought a workbench over to the mower. I'll be honest, I've never actually taken one of these apart before, but my guess is, and just looking at it, hope you guys can see that, see the spiral grooves in there. My guess is this has a helical cut in there that causes this to rotate as it comes up. So when the starter motor kicks on, it spins so fast that it rides up this helical gear cut on the inside of the gear and the outside of the bottom part of the shaft, and it rides up to engage with the flywheel. And just by looking at it, it looks like it's kind of sticky, which these sometimes tend to get after the years of dust and debris and dirt, and you can see the inside of this is fairly dusty and dirty. And so I'm wondering if it's just a little bit dirty and sticky, and that's why it works sometimes but not others. I've seen this on a number of non-Honda starters where, you know, sometimes there's some rust and corrosion or some dirt or gunk that's stuck in there preventing these from moving. This one's got a metal gear and so are the teeth on the flywheel, but I've seen where some of the other ones that have plastic gears where the teeth have been stripped off of the gear, but that doesn't seem to be the case here. So I'm going to go ahead and see if I can pull out these two screws and pull this cover off, and maybe we can pull this apart, clean it, lube it, and get it working more consistently without having to purchase a new one of these. Okay, so here's our motor, and then inside of here is our gear reduction in here, and then our starter drive here. Let's pull this apart, hopefully not contaminate it or drop things out. Okay, so there's that. That's remarkably clean, even though that it has a couple of vent or drain holes in it here. Looks like I could use a little bit more grease. And then let's see how we take this out. I'm going to guess that this little dust cover might have to be removed, and or, oh yeah, there it is. Let's spin this down. There is a little C-clip hiding underneath this little cap. So we got to find the end of that. We're going to have to pop this guy off. Okay, time to go get some more tools. I'll be right back. Alright, I'm back. I got a couple of things. I got some brake parts cleaner with the aerosol so I can use a straw. And I have some lubricant here. Before I go through the frustration of trying to remove that C-clip and take this all the way apart, you know, I was looking at it again, and you know, it's a little bit dirty, a little bit sticky, but I don't know if I necessarily need to take it apart and wire brush it in order to clean it. And so I thought maybe it might be worth trying to clean it in all assembled as is and lubricate it and see if that's enough. Also, upon further looking at it, you know, you can see some orange stuff here, and at first I'm like, is that some sort of sealant or grease? I'm pretty sure that's probably, now that I look at it more, a little bit of rust. So that's sticking up in there, but it doesn't look like it's migrated up into the helix gear. That, from what I can tell, see if I can open this, hold it open and grab my flashlight here. From what I can tell, is mostly just maybe some grease or a light lubricant that's got too much fine dust particles stuck in it, and it's become a little bit sticky. So I'm going to see if I can maybe flush that out. Open that up. It already feels like it's moving a lot better just by cleaning it out. You can see the rag turned pretty black there. Alright, we'll do a little bit more. I'll blow it out. Alright, it's already looking a lot better. Much better action already. Alright, we'll bring it back over. Alright, now that we've cleaned it out, if you take a look, a rag, you can see there's a fair bit of dirt and even some shiny particles that came out of there. Might be enough to keep it going for a little. And I'm going to go get some grease to put on this one. It looks like there used to be grease at one point in time. And we'll see if we can't clean a little bit more of this rust off too. Alright, before I put this back together, I'm going to go ahead and clean this up. We'll clean up the bottom part of that a little bit more. We'll put some grease in there. And we'll get to reassembling and testing this here shortly. Yeah, it looks like that orange stuff was rust and it's just coming right off. So that's awesome. The old grease is dried to a cake or paste type mix. So that's not lubricating very well anymore. So looks like we got like one of those low friction material type bushings down in the bottom of there. So we'll just put a little bit on it and the gear teeth. Snug these up for now. And we'll move you guys around and we'll get set to reinstall it and test it out. Alright, here we are back at the mower. Let's go ahead and get this back in place. Alright, got those on tight. Those are on tight. Snug up the mounting bolts here. I don't think these were all that tight. The impact seemed to take them off pretty easily. Snug those up. Let's give it a quick test. Ooh, I like that. Alright, we'll put it all back together. And we'll go ahead and we'll see if it fires up and consistently. But before I do, I'm going to blow out some of that grass clippings here. So pardon me while I go get the air hose. Alright, blew it off. And so now, it's time to go ahead and put all the covers back on. Make sure our foam, let's do a final check. Ounce prevention, worth a pound of cure. Make sure everything's good to go here. Fuel tank up, back around. That. We don't need the bag anymore. Cover back on. Not the cover, sorry, the recoils. Step you guys back here for a bit. Alright, let's see how we do. Looks like I like to have a choke on you. say we got ourselves a fix. Go ahead and put the carburetor air filter back on. And I will take it outside and run around a little bit and double check it. Make sure it's all good to go and it runs good. Might even have a fresh patch of grass. I can test it on the load to see if that carburetor actually needs cleaning or if it really was just not properly installed since the last time somebody's been underneath the cover. Okay, that's it. Any questions, comments, concerns, criticisms? Feel free to let me know. That's a little bit about electric starters on Honda lawnmowers. Have a nice day.